Well, thank you so much, Andrew, for being our glorious MC today. And thank you to the panelists for showing up. I'm honored to be here. Thank you, WOW Summit. Thank you all the staff from WOW. I know it's hard to put together something like this, so we really do appreciate you. Today we're going to be talking about user experience and user interface and new user adoption. I don't think we could have put together a better panel for this. My name's Andy Keh. I'll be the host today. I'm former Berkshire Hathaway. I ran an applied research division for one of their holding companies, been in crypto since 2010, and founder of Web3 Research. We're doing an on-chain Web3 AI assistant. You can find more about that right after this. I'll be giving a pitch next door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have each one of you introduce yourselves, give us a little bit about your background, your company, and especially how to find you on the internet. So Mr. Keh, if you want to take it away.
Perfect. Guys, I'm super excited to be here. I've been in the Web3 space for the last 10 years, since 2013. I started off as a marketing agency in the space, and now we run an accelerator in Dubai, along with a fund. So our obsession in the space has always been in simplifying things to bring Web 2 real-world value and businesses to Web 3, and we do that through various means and operations. So this panel is so exciting for me. We built a protocol called Forward, which is like WordPress for people to drag, drop, deploy applications on blockchain without having to code. So all our efforts over the last many years have been focused on just this one topic. So I'm super thrilled to be here, and thank you so much.
Yeah, hey legends, pleasure to be here. Absolutely excited to speak about UI and UX layer in the Web3. My name is Vlad. I'm a CEO and founder at Crypto.C, where we build the bullish marketing for the Web3 protocols and helping them to monetize and capitalize on the wave of the on-chain reality. And I've been building businesses all my life. I've got 2 exits, and since the early 2020s, I started to degen on-chain and making some stuff around the Web3. And so, yeah, would love to speak about UI UX.
Hey everyone, good to be here today. My name is Chris. I co-founded a company called Dotted. I joined the space a few years ago through a company called Kinetic, which was one of the first dedicated crypto companies here in Hong Kong. Stayed on the regulated side a little bit, and then moved into more of the Web3, focusing on other digital assets, and basically created a company that creates mass market wallets. So we have an app in the App Store. Everyone can download it. We have a few 100,000 users in that now. But as of recent years, what we've been focusing on is helping corporates bring their either audience or customers or users onto Web3.
Awesome.
Hi everyone. Thank you for being here. And I know everybody's very excited for any UI UX designs coming into the Web3 space. I represent WowEarn, and I'm the VP Marketing of WowEarn. We've been in the space since last year, March, and now exactly a year from now, we gained 2 million users and daily active users about 100K a day. So I'm very excited to share all the ups and downs that we go through and how we approach the new users and onboarding process.
Awesome, thank you. So we're talking about building better user experiences, but we should start on the other side of that. So what are some unfortunate user experiences that need to be addressed going forward for user adoption? We can start down there and work clockwise.
I think the biggest challenge is the distance between the Web 2 experience that people are used to the Web 3. It is not just about downloading a wallet. It is an educational process. It's a huge barrier to entry where you need to learn how to even do that first step of setting up a wallet. It comes with, what is this private key? What do I do? Oh, I need to write it down. I cannot put it in a computer. It's like 10 steps before you create it, and then you cannot use it on the mobile. You need something else for that. So there are a series of steps, and the only way someone learns that is by going through all those bottlenecks, which is hard. But after that, they still realize there are a lot of other things to learn when they're going to use an application. So the problems are more from an education, knowledge standpoint, from the ability to use, to get in and use it. It's not something that you advertise, you see, you click, you download, and you use. It's probably a few days of the work time where you need to research about it to get into it, which is not practical. There's no attention that can hold them for that long. Life is distracting. And that's one of the reasons why Web3 companies trying to attract users by advertising or other means outside the space of failing drastically, the time when they see it to when they can become a user is very long. So the problems are plentiful, from nomenclature, the vocabulary, the new words that you come across, the new models of business, the new ways things operate here. Everything is a paradigm shift. It's not a change, it's not an improvement, it's not an upgrade, it's two different worlds. And two different worlds apart, the bridge, I don't think it's easy at all. So the question really that I think this panel is going to answer is how that's being bridged and what new solutions can actually bridge that. So, yeah.
We are super early, that's first of all, and therefore we have a big gap in the communication. Because, I mean, the founders, if you take a look at how they communicate with the audience, right, it's a super nerdy, techie language, and just normies who are working from 9 to 5, they don't have a clue about what's going on there in the Web3. It's really hard to understand them. It's really hard to extrapolate some value from the ideas. And I think that the massive gap in this communication process is something we are still lacking, but despite all of that, nonetheless, right, I think that the Web3 lacks of UI and UX complexity is super overblown right now, because, I mean, the thesis is super obsolete, because now if you take a look just at the trade file, right, you want to get the mortgage done. You need to enroll to the queue, you need to get your time, 2 days frozen there, you need to make some due diligence, you need to pass through all the evaluation. This is like a whole bunch of a time you're going to be buried up, right? But when you compare this with the Web3, right, you have a wallet, you have an NFT, you go on the lending platform, you want to borrow against that, you freeze your assets, oracles getting connected to the fair value that your assets represents, and boom, here you go. So I guess that Web3 made a massive leap towards making the customer journey map much more easier, even for the normies, to get supplied with all they want to have on their own chain. But despite that stuff, still the language, still two techie ways to onboard. But wallet abstraction is a cool thing though, because it's actually something that helps to onboard normies, Web2 people, as I'd like to call that. Web3 shouldn't be sitting around here and waiting until the Web2 mass adoption is gonna come into Web3. No, vice versa. We're going to come to the Web2 with the use cases, with the real applications that's going to onboard people easily in a couple of clicks without even, worrying about this complexity, downloading a wallet, custody, self-custody, blah, blah, blah. Wallet abstraction, 3 clicks, here you go, Web3, supply, and enjoy your time.
Awesome. Chris?
Yeah, so I think both Mr. Keh and Vlad make some very valid points. I think, from our experience, having spent quite a lot of time trying to do the education bit, coming from the nerdy, more tech perspective, we always found it was a losing battle. It's very difficult for us, especially when we're focused on mass market, right? Certainly, there are people out there who are interested in the space, who are motivated, who are just your typical early adopters, who are willing to go and spend the time, spend the effort to learn about a particular technology. But we have to recognize, and I think the industry has recognized, that mass market is not them, right? So we've taken a somewhat of a coward's approach, which is to essentially hide the Web3 elements and, really emphasize, like Vlad says, that the actual value and the use case rather than the Web3 elements.
I would say that we always, in WildEarn, we're a decentralized wallet, but we focus on borderline experiences and users' integration. So the first step for them is very important. The first impression of a user coming from Web 2 to Web 3 is prime. They will see if it's easy for them to use. And the first impression is number one things is that we focus on, easy steps, onboarding, and guided by our experience and tutorials that our educational contents provide. But I really think that language is also important, because we have multiple languages users that we come from different worlds and different part of the regions. So it's very important for them to easy access and change their language to their adjustable regions. So it's very important to always focus on building that trust in the first steps, and security comes next, right after the user experience.
Awesome. Thanks for those great answers. So Web3 oscillates in these cycles, and we know that there's this, we're on the precipice of another major adoption cycle. I personally believe we're about to have more adopters than are currently in the ecosystem. So that fundamentally means we need to change how we are addressing them, how we are addressing things internally with our own team. If you're doing business to business, you also have to change how you're addressing those business. I mean, both of you guys are doing business to business as well. So how has this, how are you preparing yourself for this paradigm shift, internally, externally, whatever you think you would speak best to?
I think we are at a point in time where everything exists. You have the technology, with the chains, with the infrastructure, you have it all. You have all the tools that enable things to be easier. One-click wallets, automated created account abstraction solutions, all of that. So you don't need those complexities anymore. You can use it with the same experience as a Web 2 at this point right now. And you also do have audience needs and real-world use cases to connect to all of this. So what is really missing is an effort from a business user who can come in and put all of these things together and go to the market with it. So the jigsaw puzzle is there with all the components, and now if that's put together and the language is communicated right, it can go a great way. And I think what's leading this journey is the real-world assets. Real-world assets are so deep within the traditional space, and those users and those audience, everyone there are traditional. It comes with a lot of validation, like BlackRock right now is coming with $10 trillion of assets this year, and they're also doing that on Ethereum chain. So that's a great validation for what Web3 stands for. It's not a private blockchain, not some blockchain that they control, but Ethereum that the crypto community has stood behind for all these years. So it's a beautiful time where everything is there. And real-world assets is a good validation because it's putting in great value to it. And when these companies come in, they come in with their own clients. They're not coming to the Web3 asking us, okay, give us your money to buy a piece of real estate. They have their own clients, they have their own technology, they have their distribution channel, they have their marketing and communication already in place. What are they really doing with Web3? They're borrowing the technology. And that's the perfect starting point for what Web3 needs. Before Web3 can go mainstream, it needs to be used purely as a technology element. I go back thinking to how Web 2 came into existence. When a company chooses a database like MySQL or whatever other database it is, they don't think about consumers. They don't really talk to consumers about it. Consumers don't even see the difference. It is a technological shift. It's not a product shift. And that's exactly what can happen with real-world assets and blockchain. They can put blockchain behind the scenes in a way nobody's bothered by it, but they benefit from it. And the edge that they will have is the benefits. You can move the assets anywhere in the world. You can buy $1 worth of something. You don't need to have a minimum limitation. All the flexibility coming to your doorstep, and you don't even know what is behind it? Well, it's blockchain. If you find a magic around you in the traditional companies, they remove the restrictions, it's because of blockchain. So that is going to become more profound. That's going to become more known out there in this year, the next year. And that is going to take the blockchain to the next level, not because just of those actions, but because of the awareness it brings, which means more B2B entrepreneurs, more creators would follow suit on that. They need someone to take the lead. And now when they follow suit, there's a standard set. You got to be simple like Amazon. You got to be simple like Google. You cannot complicate it. If you complicate, nobody would use it. And that needs to come with a carrot and a stick. You don't do it, you're killed, you're dead. And that's when people will be forced to use all these tools. The tools exist. So I'm super excited for what 2024 is here for.
Awesome.
All right. So I guess that the future stands for the guys who are able to build the technology that for the normal users, even that they just don't care about the backend, right, about Web3, all these sort of things, they don't even understand this is that much of a light technology. They don't even understand this is something like a Web3 related, right? Because the only stuff they care about is the use case. And I am advising a lot of Web3 companies, a lot of people who are building the stuff by being behind the scenes. And what I realized so far is that they get too carried away with the intrinsic value delivery and forgetting about the perceived value, you know, just increasing, simply because if you build with your community, you have much more chances to survive because you are shipping the needed use case, right? As opposed to if you build for the community, which is like a more Web 2 sort of approach, right? You have a less chances to survive just because you build something from your head, right? And the key stuff here is to understand timing, where you are building your narrative, where you're building the products, where you're shipping technology and the use cases, all these sort of things. And the one important part when it comes to ice cream, kissing, and going to bed, there's the one common stuff to all of that, is the timing, right? So the timing in the Web3 is actually has a crucial role, right? And a lot of founders, they are foreseeing, they're just starting to build something at the early vibration of that, and therefore they need to overcome two things, which is like, absolutely hard. They need to develop a market, they need to build up the tech to deliver this for the market. So therefore they're developing two really important sectors of the business. But anyways, in terms of a technology and the user experiences, UI design and the forefront, I guess one more time that it stands for the people who are able to ship the technology that can be perceived as a light tech and nothing that much of a nerd as we see in this at the moment. So yeah, just think about perceived value, think about how you can stretch your market a little bit, and think about the stuff that you can build with the community, because it increases the chances, as simple as that.
Awesome, thanks Vlad.
I think, let me take the internal first, how we're preparing. So from internal perspective, there's really two big things that we're doing. Number one is making sure that we're on top of the wallet technology, right? So we have innovations coming through like ERC 6551, which allows NFTs to own other NFTs. That's really going to change the landscape and also just the UI UX. So that's one thing that our tech team has been very focused on. It gives a lot more power to corporates and anyone who wants to use Web3, because it enables you to have nested structures and things like that. It also allows potential clients to specify their own gas token, which could create some interesting economics and some interesting I guess, business cases. The other thing that we're doing a lot internally is really, crafting our message for the clients, right? It's, come out with the stories, come out with the analogies, and come out with the explanations so that, CMOs, marketing, innovation teams within these corporates and organizations really get a good understanding of what Web3 can do for them. Because one of the things that I think has been missing from the industry has been convincing stories, right? Not just Web3 collaborations. We got to convince people outside of Web3 to work with us and bring value into the market. So we've been very focused on that. We think that we have some very interesting propositions, and the fact is that in terms of technology, we have more power than ever to innovate in terms of projects and also business cases.
Awesome. Yara?
I truly agree with what Vlad and Karnik said about community and just the whole users onboarding process. We really care about how users literally feels about the products and the communities. The community is the core to any products in the space. Without communities, it's literally like not possible for B2C. So community feedbacks is like core number one for us. We always gather experiences and feedbacks from them weekly, and we improve them weekly as well. So the fact that tech team have to work very well with the marketing team and with the products, it's a teamwork. And when you come to a company, when you want to think about whether you're really trying to think for the users or are you only thinking about to make money quick, that's a very important question to think. We really want to focus on users first. This is like, we want them to think our product as the gateway to Web3, one-stop wallet that you have all-in-one ecosystem in one app. That's our main focus, and we're slowly achieving that by adding into the ecosystem. So we have like different applications and products adding to the ecosystem, and testing with the users. We do group testing, we do UI feedback gathering, so this is all we do that keep our community to grow.
Awesome, thank you. So I'm going to move on to individual questions. I'm going to start with you, Mr. Keh, because it works this way. From your perspective as an accelerator and a VC, are there UI layer or UX layer and adoption strategies that you're particularly keen in pursuing or that you're seeing a trend in?
I would say Web 2.5 models are really working well right now. So when we evaluate a business model, our goal is to make sure that the business can thrive. And what makes a business thrive is being able to attract customers, retain customers, and work with them over an extended period of time. Because revenue generation is the core of any sustainable business out there. And that would mean, from a UI standpoint, what is the language it speaks? If the wallets and if the journey that the user takes, the customer experience, is focused in a seamless manner, that is a very big plus for us when we evaluate something. The business model by itself, in terms of what it sells, what it stands for, whether there's a product market fit, that's a very important part. But if this user experience is missing, it's almost like a barrier between them and their success. So unless that barrier is removed from the fundamental first principles approach when they're building the business, it is not going to work. There's no two steps here. It's not about, okay, let me build something for an ready audience, early adopters, and maybe later I will try to simplify it for someone else. That's not going to work. If that's the business model, then your focus and your target market is based on the Web3, and you evaluate and scope your business based on that. So we all evaluate that life cycle of a business and understand where the value accrual comes from and the ability to retain and harvest on that, because that is going to determine their Series A valuation, their future growth potential, their traction numbers, and so on. So from our, when we accelerate, our primary goal is to take them to the market, get them live as a token or as an entity with users. And that comes with all of these considerations, because that's how you present a business to a user. And user in the crypto space right now, they're more mature than ever before. And the competition in the space is much higher. If you look at 2021, the number of projects to where they're right now, they're in millions at this point. The number of projects that are starting up is way too many. How would anybody filter it? People filter it based on the reputation and the traction. And you can build reputation and traction through various means, but there's nothing like building it by the proper business that can stand at least for a 5-year. I use 5 years as a metric, not because they can die after 5 years, but if something lives for more than 3 years, they tend to live longer. It's like a threshold. And 5-year also means they cross through a particular bear cycle. And bear cycle crossing is a testament to their business model, because there's no speculation. The speculation is gone. Speculators are gone. The product is back in the focus. What do these guys have? Let's keep the token aside. Can I use your product right now? Is it usable, or do they have problems? So when that comes through, 5-year sustenance, 5 years is my focus. If I can make sure a business that can survive for 5 years is built, and right now they're taken to the market, I'm happy. And I know they can take care of themselves after that, and they can scale at that point in time. But the business plan has to cover that explicitly, not just go to the market, but sustainability with these things in mind. So I would say that's not my focus, that's my obsession with anyone that's moving into Web3. And I would highly recommend them to give a lot of time and thought, not just to the vision and the ideation of the product, purely to the customer journey, because we have a trilemma in the blockchain, scalability, security, and all of that we used to discuss in the past. But right now, there's a new trilemma that we have. And that is user experience, user retention, and user-focused revenue generation. And these three are the core aspects. The technology exists. What we don't have is users. We have a great auditorium, amazing infrastructure, great mics, great speakers. Unfortunately, we don't have any guests. That is the challenge in the Web3, and to fix that, we got to bring in something interesting, usable, that they want to come in and take part of through the entire process.
Awesome, love it. Vlad, so from your perspective, I know you wear a lot of hats, and it's not just marketing that you do, but from specifically the marketing perspective, you have B2B and you have B2B2C. how has this new wave of user adoption, how is your language changing around that? Internally, how is it changing towards the businesses that you're facing? How are you educating them? And then subsequently, how are you educating the new users who are coming on and creating experiences that are more accessible?
Yeah, it's a great question, but first of all, I think that the Web3 marketing is genuinely misconstrued. And why so? Is that because you have a Web2 marketing fundamentals, which like sort of, get transferred to the Web3, and the people are overusing this, whereby Web2 marketing, if you think about it, really sells you to buy, because ads are pushing you up, they're chasing you around the internet, right? And you're sort of carried away with that. While Web3 marketing sells you to join. And as soon as you understand how to deliver the mission to the people, whereby we're circling back once again to the communication problem, right, in the Web3, because I've got, thousands of a pitch decks, thousands of a website already like sort of, went through, and I understood so far is that within the 3 seconds, you don't get the aha moment. Oh, cool, I can join in, I can sign myself up because it's cool, it's like funny, right? But we at Cryptosea specifically, what we do is that we build our own chain funnel whereby we can incentivize people, we can, hook up the attention, because attention is the currency nowadays, it's pretty obvious for everybody, and the better you are at engaging this attention and convert this to something tangible, users, token buyers, stakers, etc., etc. Simply you're winning the game. So you need to think about the attention, and when the attention goes, what? Money flows. It's like super simple, as simple as that. And I've got a session with the one Web3 founder who is building layer 5 right now. And bro, come on, what are you talking about? What is layer 5? And when you think about the marketing as well, I think that building the community and making yourself clearly understandable for the target audience is the best possible way, because your community can serve your project as a marketing department on steroids. Forget about ads, forget about everybody. Just make sure you are great enough at incentivizing people, and the on-chain has everything as a tool pack for that, obviously, right? And then you'll have a better conversion rates, you'll have a really great army of fans who are engaged enough and they're rooting for you just because they are stakeholders, not as in the Web 2, whereby you're just a consumer, right? Why I should care about how your business does at the moment, but when I'm in the Web 3, I care just because I'm in the same boat, bro. That simply is. And at Cryptosea, we're split up this on-chain marketing funnel to the 5 simple steps, whereby you have a acquisition layer, think about where to get the traffic, how to get some eyeballs peeled to the project. Then you think about the activation layer, whereby people starting to interact somehow, either signing up to your newsletter or maybe, joining your community, etc. Then you engage them. Okay, how do we engage them? We don't want to have just the monetary-driven community. We want to have them truly, let's say, tuned to our idea, to our core ideology, by providing them points of belief. After that, we have a retention layer. As a Web3 project founder, as a Mr. Key underlined, you got to have a healthy business model, because you will be like blown away from the pathway of the builder, right? And you need to understand, okay, how do I incentivize people, and after that convert them to the revenue, right? Which is like a 4th layer. And after that, the last but not the least, which is genuinely overlooked, is a retention layer. Why you don't care about that? As soon as you get paid, you forget about the people. But why don't you provide for them the layer where they can contribute even more? You can create the affiliate program on-chain, track everything. You can create, let's say, user-generated content, whereby people creating bunches of content by helping you going viral. That's simply it. So simply going, while Web2 marketing sells you to buy, Web3 marketing sells you to join. And the better you are at delivering the points of belief to the people by being simple, plain, understandable, the more chance you're going to have to become a truly rock star in the Web3 space, bro.
I love it. Chris, we are a little tight on time. Chris, from mobile's near and dear to my heart. There are more mobile users than there are desktop users, and you have a mobile-first application. How does mobile play into what we've been discussing in terms of new user adoption and UI and UX?
Yeah, so I think for us, especially here in Asia, Southeast Asia, 95% of our audience is mobile, right? So that's why we decided to go mobile first. For us, there are 2 things that we focus on when we're designing or that we try to incorporate into our designs. Number one, just making sure that where there could be jumps between desktop and mobile, say with a QR code, that your workflow actually works properly, right? If someone's opening up and you're expecting them to scan with their phone, then you've got to make sure that they actually have a device that can scan. We found that one of the challenges on that side is that oftentimes when we're doing a lot of social media marketing, there are apps like Facebook where they have a skinny browser inside, and when they scan the QR code, they actually end up in the main browser on their mobile, and so the cookies don't transfer. You might actually break the workflow. So just notice things like that. The other thing that we're incorporating into our workflows and designs is to essentially make sure that all of our screens, as many as possible, are Instagrammable, right? Because a lot of sharing right now is done just by people screen capping, maybe adding a caption, and then sending it to their friends, right? And so we try to do that, and that's what we're mindful of.
That's a really good point. I love that. Yara, everybody check out WowEarn's booth out there. I love it. It's a lovely green color. Can you speak to a little bit about your platform and how you're balancing adoption, education, and experience? Because there is too much education, there is too much focus on adoption. So how are you guys trying to tackle that?
Thank you for complimenting our booth. We really try to do something different every summit. So for educational content, we try to not to make it so boring. Like I would say Trust Wallet is doing quite a good job on how to direct their users in using the application. So we're trying to use KOLs and YouTubers to really dive into our apps, and after they experience it, we will let them to create a video on their own. We will not really tell them, oh, you have to make it this way. So that's why we are trying to create an organic review on all the KOLs and people that we work with. That's a part of the marketing as well, that we want to literally spread around the world by creating organic contents and creating viral contents that people can relate to. And for the, what is the other one besides educational, if you can?
Experience, education, and adoption.
Right. So when it comes to adoptions of using our application, it's very easy. Download an application on Apple. And yeah, you can just dive into it very soon and just check in with our communities. Because I want to talk actually more about how communities are so engaged with our mining D app, because within our whole ecosystem, there's a D app that's mining our own native tokens. And users are so intrigued to mine every 24 hours because they're able to click and see how they're mining our own native token, which will be launched in May, in 2 months. So yeah, they're very excited, and we always try to keep them engaged and bring out the best for them.
Awesome. So one last thing, just a soundbite from each one of you. If you could just ask the audience something, if you have a question for the audience to leave them with something to think about and take home with them. Mr. Keh, I'll put you on the spot.
I would ask you to think about one thing that you want to do in the blockchain and Web3 space. I'm tired of people trying to just trade and speculate. Blockchain is powerful. What is that one thing that you want to do right now in the world of blockchain other than trading and speculating? Do reach out to me on my Twitter, my LinkedIn. Let me know what that answer is, and I'll help you find an application that can do that right now.
Awesome. Thank you. Vlad.
Yes, obviously I'd like to ask the question, how many of you guys, let's say, holding on your wallets, let's say the wallet of Chainlink. How many of you guys hold in Chainlink coin? Chainlink, yeah, not pretty much of them, right? But if even you hold the coin, you are not extrapolating value from that simply because you don't use this, right? You just wanna, let's say, speculate on that. And I would, guys, strongly recommend you to go and learn fundamentals about Web3, to learn more how you can provide a value for this next big, web phase of tomorrow. I would like you guys see how you potentially get you're tuned into the next phase of a human interaction being built on chain, but not follow the suit of the Sam Bankman-Fried, who actually went from on-chain to in-chain. So, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thanks, Vlad. Chris?
Just a quick one. It's a question I've been asking a lot of people over the last year or so, and that is simply what's working in Web3, right? What technology is working? What are the convincing stories? What projects have been successful?
Awesome. Yara?
Quick question. What is your favorite wallet features and why are you using them? Just tell me, send me a DM on LinkedIn or Twitter on WellEarn. I want to know. I want to gather all the experiences and feedbacks, and we want to improve that to our wallet. Thank you.
I love it. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you, everybody, for showing up today. Appreciate it.
Thanks, folks.
Thank you, everyone.